And abundance doesn't just mean, value or things. It's also the richness of your relationships, the enjoyment of your life, the ability to create positive change in the world. So I want to make that clear that people who see the glass half full see abundance throughout their life, no matter where they are, financially or physical things. And that's why you cannot compare. The richness of your life may be greater than someone else who has greater wealth than you.
Welcome to Warriors at Work. This is Jeannie Coomber, your guide and host. Warriors at Work is a place where everyone in the workplace can come together, gain insight, encouragement, tell stories, connect, and share wisdom. We are a place of like-minded people at different stages of life, all coming together with a shared interest of enlightening and inspiring one another. If you're interested in going from the predictable to the potent, and you want to find your warrior magic, step into the journey with us. Welcome to Warriors at Work.
Hey everybody, it's Jeannie. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Warriors at Work podcast. The conversation you're about to hear is with a fascinating leader, Ralph Makar. Ralph is a very successful life sciences executive with both U.S. and global experiences. He also has excelled in various CEO, general manager roles, and he continues to serve as an executive and a board advisor for various companies. But that's not the reason I had Ralph join me in this conversation. I had Ralph join me in this conversation for two reasons. One, someone who I deeply respect and value recommended Ralph. She worked for him for a number of years and could speak specifically to the organizations he was able to create with and through people. Secondly, within 5 minutes of talking to Ralph, I had the biggest smile on my face. He has such a deep relationship with words like optimism, abundance, possibility. He not only is really, really bright and so sharp in understanding all of the elements of the business landscape, but his relationship with people and framing things through the lens of possibility and positivity was something that was so striking that I thought we have to create a platform to share Ralph's story on a larger level. So I bring to you this conversation with a huge smile on my face still, just as I even recall this conversation. I know you will get not only some very tactical and interesting ideas of infusing positivity and optimism in your organizations, but you will thoroughly enjoy his affinity for storytelling, his understanding around how to drive organizations forward, and his creativity on how to create a culture that is built on heart and intuition and possibility. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Warriors at Work podcast. This is Jeannie Coomber, your guide and host on this journey. I am so excited for the conversation that I get to have with Ralph Makar. So Ralph, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Jeannie, it's a pleasure to be here and be here with all of your viewers and followers, both in video and online listening as well. So thank you for welcoming me to the Warriors at Work.
You have such a fascinating story. I cannot wait to get into this. Where I thought we could start is you're a hugely successful life sciences executive, both in the US and globally. And I was taking a look at your bio, your resume, and also doing a little research on you. And you have so many interesting things on how you're described. You've been a CEO, you've been a general manager, you've been a board advisor. You've worked on very well-known brands like Diovan, Lipitor, Voltaren, and you've worked in startup. I see you as like this wildly successful, multifaceted innovator and leader. But I was wondering, how do you describe yourself?
Well, thank you, Jeannie. And some of those roles that you described have ended, or different time periods. But I'm still remain active in a lot of different organizations to this day. If I had to describe myself, the first thing is I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I don't see it as just warriors at work. It's warriors at life. And
Love that.
the reason for that is a person who is happy in their life and happy in their personal connections and the outside world. When they go to work, they're also happy. You have to have the balance. And I have seen over the years many executives where one of the pillars is out of alignment. It misaligns at work too, and you suffer there. And probably, when I think about describing myself, I came across William Wordsworth's poem, Character of the Happy Warrior. I see myself as the happy warrior. I'm not going to read the poem, but I'm going to read you just some description of it from Wikipedia that talks about, who is the happy warrior? What is the character of the happy warrior? And there's a lot of parallels between the happy warrior and myself. And let me just share a few of them. Not all of them, but a few of them. The happy warrior is a generous spirit. His noble ideas and deeds are inward light that, despite their inwardness, make the path before the warrior always bright, kind of always looking forward. The happy warrior is a diligent student, eager to amass whatever knowledge comes his way. His principal concern must be his own moral being. The warrior is skillful in self-knowledge. The warrior understands that the purpose of suffering and distress is to grow in compassion and tenderness. His law and dearest friend is reason. He owes all of his triumphs to virtue. If he achieves high station, he does so honestly. If he cannot act honestly whilst in office, he would sooner quit. He keeps the law no matter how severe any conflict may be. When called upon for any task, the happy warrior is always equal to it or ready to step up. He aspires to home-felt pleasures and to gentle scenes. He is content with anyone good. He's not content with any one good or great deed, but always seeks to top himself. And again, this is words from the 1800s. So the happy warrior basically finds comfort in himself and his cause and seeks to do good. So I found a lot of interesting parallels as I came across that poem. And if I go into a little bit deeper now to describe myself, you'll see some parallels between that and the happy warrior. And I think we should kind of, aspire, because if you're a happy warrior, you're going through life happy and you're enjoying and you're being more successful. So I believe you have to have that harmony of spirit of work, life in general, happiness in life and your relationships and your connections also leads to happiness at work. And if one is out of alignment, then the other legs come out of alignment. I believe that I'm a student of the world. I work for everyone. I believe that I can learn from any person. And I also believe in the inverted pyramid principle of leadership, which means that the pyramid's inverted. I am here to serve everyone else, to clear the path to help make others successful. I believe it's key to build trust and through a high level of integrity and commitment to help others. I'm a person who kind of learned that you enjoy the path you're on. Too many people look at the grass in the other yard. You can't do that. It doesn't work. Whatever path you're on, make the most of it and enjoy that path. I'm dedicated and hardworking, but I also believe very strongly in having personal connections. When I make friends, I keep them for life. I have friends that I've worked with, people that I've met along the way 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 25, people that I've met in college, people that I've met in high school that I still to this day remain friends with. And the other thing is, I believe you have to be willing to step up and take every challenge. Step up, and I'll include this a little bit later as an example, but I believe take every job nobody else wants. It always leads to new opportunity. And the importance of these connections that you make will lead to those opportunities. I've always felt a leader, although not seeing myself as a leader. Even when I was at junior levels, starting early in my career, I remember one of my bosses, and again, it's the importance of building these connections, building the trust, recognizing people, and showing appreciation. Early in my career, my boss was recognizing me for a job well done, and we were having a group session. Now, I was a junior person in this company. I had no one reporting to me. But yet I had a lot of people within the organization willing to help and support me. And my boss couldn't understand how I got this work done. And he finally figured out that I was working through connections in the company by basically helping people to accomplish their goal. And as he announced to the group about the success that we'd had, and it was recognized, he goes, look, Ralph may not have any people reporting to him, but he has an underground network of about 55 people in this company that are willing to help him at any time.
An underground network. I love it.
If you want to know how to get things done in the organization, talk to Ralph Makar. So I think that's how I would describe myself.
Underground network. I guarantee you, anybody that's watching or listening right now is like, yeah, I got an underground network. And if I don't have an underground network, I better get one, because that's going to be the foundation of my success.
Yeah.
So first of all, I love that. I love the poem. So much of what you just shared really resonates with me personally. And then the idea of the warrior of at life, I think is so, it's so powerful, is that if we could see it that way, it also challenges this notion that we have to compartmentalize ourselves, and how everything you've been describing, like this is an attribute of your living, your being.
Yes, absolutely.
It is not just something that you bring to the workplace when you're in executive mode or when you're in CEO mode. It is something that you embody and that you wholeheartedly believe. And I'm so fascinated also by some of the things that you were sharing with me when we were preparing for this conversation, is the fact that you have adopted this mindset. This is something that I think came from your upbringing and your experiences, which I'd love for you to share. But you really epitomize optimism and this idea of abundancy and positivity. Like, talk to us about, where did this come from?
Right. Well, thank you for the question. And again, we're using the term abundance here, and abundance doesn't just mean, value or things. It's also the richness of your relationships, the enjoyment of your life, the ability to create positive change in the world. So I want to make that clear, that people who see the glass half full see abundance throughout their life, no matter where they are, financially or physical things. And that's why you cannot compare. The richness of your life may be greater than someone else who has greater wealth than you. So I think that's important kind of distinction. But let me go back and focus on where this came from. Obviously, family and upbringing is a critical part. Both my parents were educators. My mom taught at the high school or secondary level in the sciences. My dad was a professor of mathematics. And they were very generous, very giving people of high moral character and values. And they also would invite a lot of different professors with diversity of background in regions and religions and sciences. We would have people who had background in history and science and mathematics and philosophy. And having all these people around, when you're a child, you start to learn to engage and appreciate. And this created a sense of wonder and a sense of, direction, curiosity, of interest and respect and values, of engaging with people. So it started early on. And I always tried to mirror that in all of my connections.
Not only are you a senior leader and you've been in a lot of senior positions, you are really a very natural leader. You have an affinity for leading and growing people. Do you think that mindset can be taught or coached in someone else?
I absolutely believe it can. Now, I've, sometimes you have natural abilities that can be developed. I believe everyone has some natural abilities, and it really just depends where your starting point is on how much coaching can help. So yes, I went to business school. Yes, I took lots of different training, educational programs, executive development. One year my boss couldn't believe I listened to over 200 educational tapes from, world-class speakers, because we had this free tape lending library through the company I work for. So you can take all of those lessons to help modify and enhance and become more aware of the talents you already have. And the weaknesses that you have, you can help to improve them or help to build and improve them too. So I believe you can enhance from whatever, anyone can move and improve from wherever they start to a greater position.
One of the things that I wanted to do a little yes on when you were talking about being reflective, one of my favorite things to do is to measure your progress. Particularly over the last year where people were having a very difficult time
Right.
seeing any forward movement. So I'll often say,
Right.
like, just measure your progress. It could even just be like small, subtle shifts that you've made that have
Yeah.
made your life a little easier. You're breathing a little better that day. Which prompts me to ask a question relating to the story you just told. When you think about the world, the workplace that we have right now, right? So we're 100% virtual.
Right.
Whether or not we're going back into offices environments, we don't know. Then you have the COVID experience laid on top of it. For anybody watching or listening that's just struggling with, how do I have this level of optimism and this sense and relationship to abundance in the environment in which I'm operating? What are some pieces of advice that you could offer someone?
Well, I agree with you. I think there is a great challenge today because, in the workplace, when we're in the workplace, we're able to connect, we're able to socialize, to build positive connections, to build a team, to work together. And I think in the current environment, it's become harder to do so, over Zoom and just, because we're not spending time with people. We're not, having a chit chat or talking over. Sometimes those brilliant ideas percolate by being, management by moving around and talking to different people and people interacting. So we've lost some of that, but it's important to kind of try and reconnect and find a way to do that. And I think examples of companies and I know you believe in this as well, that tying in both soul and strategy. If you feel a strong sense of soul and purpose, then you're able to deliver it in your work. But companies have taken that on to a degree where socialization has become part of the mission. Uber, Airbnb, Amazon, etc. Many new corporations are taking those on. If you can't connect with the customer and the employees who work there and the people, then you really don't understand the evolving marketplace. So what do we do? How do we change that, especially in the current environment? We need to figure out opportunities to kind of build positive relationships and connections, ways to enhance that performance and build connections. So some of the things I've done in the past have been, monthly celebration. I remember when our teams were working sometimes so hard, I actually appointed a person. It wasn't a formal job. I made them kind of the minister of fun, or said, you're in charge of helping us organize, because you're such a good organizer, one fun event a month to kind of take the edge off. We had high teas. We did a high tea where people brought teas from all over the world. We even had one person bring their Royal Doulton china from home because they said they don't use it. It was a spectacular event, and it helped take the edge off. We had cake days where, people would bring in different cakes. I remember, flying in the imperial torte from Vienna in my suitcase when I came back on a trip from Vienna, where we would share there and embrace. Another company, we did barbecues where you invite people's significant others as well, so you could interact and mingle. Now, I realize this becomes harder in this environment, but you can do happy hours on Zoom. I still do happy hours with people I worked with years ago to just maintain the connection. And that's the thing. If you can't do it in the workplace, do it with people you connect with before. It'll help you feel better, and it'll give you energy to be able to try to do it at work. The other thing is allow everyone to contribute toward the mission. I remember at my regular leadership staff meetings, and when I came into a new job, everyone looks to me, you're the leader, tell us what to do. And I say, whoa, I don't know if this is what you were used to before. That's not my leadership style. I want us all to contribute and be part of the team. I want you to challenge me. I want you to offer criticism so I can improve as well. If you have a better idea, and many times people had better ideas than me, and you can show it, back it up with data or market research, then that's the idea we're going to go with. And then celebrate with the team and recognize everyone as a part of it. So that's an easy one that you can be done on Zoom. Another thing is a creative idea of the 360 feedback. And many times we think of the 360 feedback as an exhaustive event, and it leads to, people being upset and too critical. No, this was a simple one-page 360 feedback that only looked at positive feedback. So each person would be asked, pick a half a dozen people, and the first question is, what has this person done to positively influence your business and drive the business forward? And then 2, what can this person continue to do to continue to improve themselves in the business? There are no ratings. There are no negative. People began to welcome these because for the first, and by the way, I did it too. And I sent it to at least 10 people. I wanted all the feedback. So they're not negative. They actually help people to improve and develop. And so this makes people feel like, wow, the people do care about me and what I do as well. In a way, you're helping them. These are things that can be done whether we're in a formal workplace or whether we're working from home. And the last thing is show thanks and appreciation. And I love this story, and I think you will too. I grew up on the East Coast, and I learned to love a New York City bagel. Nothing like it. Tons of cream cheese. They load it up. They toast it properly. They put it together. Delicious. When I moved to the West Coast and lived there, it was very hard to get an authentic New York style bagel. And I had a favorite bagel shop that I went in regularly, and I would ask them to give very clear direction. Okay, it needs to be double toasted, more cream cheese. It needs to have a proper amount of tomato. It needs to be not served open faced, but folded over, cut in half, delivered like a sandwich. I was trying to get it closer to a New York, and they came pretty close. But here's the difference. Every time they did that and really went through the extra effort, in addition to leaving money in the tip jar, I would come back after and tell the people who actually worked on my sandwich or delivered it or prepared the bagel, wow, thank you. You did a great job. This was perfect today. And they came to look for that. And one day I was talking to the sales clerk as I was closing out and saying, look, I hope I'm not too much trouble. They go, trouble? I said, yeah, I'm very demanding. They said, no, Ralph, we love you. You're our favorite customer. I said, how can I be your favorite customer? I'm so demanding. I ask so much. They said, yes, but nobody ever comes back and tells us we did a great job and thanks us. You do that every time on your way out. We look forward to it. We fight who's going to prepare your bagel, and we look to see, do we get it right? Now, imagine, so show appreciation and thanks. Imagine if you could repeat the bagel store in every workplace people deliver. And I've used that model. I didn't realize at the time it's part of my natural inclination, but I do that in the workplace as well. I thank people, I show appreciation. And if you do that, it comes back.
There's something else that I was so curious about with your stories.
Sure.
And your experience. And this was what really struck me when we were preparing for this conversation. You shared with me, and I'm going to shift a little bit. You shared with me that you're a straight shooter. You don't do politics.
Right.
And you said that sometimes costs me. And I would love for you to elaborate on that.
So yes, there are politics from time to time. And I thought about the question more as after we discussed it. And I believe that people begin to see the benefit when you actually help and deliver to them. So there's a way to overcome. My philosophy has always been be honest and upfront. And it doesn't matter, let the chips lie where they may. You have to change the mindset from it will cost you. And I had to think about this too as well, because in the moment you may feel it may cost you not to play politics. But the reality is avoiding a political situation actually helps you to be unencumbered by political commitments and having to do things that cross or don't align with your value system. That's a great freedom, because if something wasn't the most personally beneficial or financially beneficial for you at the time, I believe you've actually gained more in abundance in terms of personal freedom, because your freedom to retain your values, you didn't sell out. The ability to sleep at night, you're comfortable in your own skin, you're relaxed about it. And eventually, it always led to new and better and exciting opportunities, although you may not see it at the time. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how, in one case, I was able to change things. And I'm not going to get into the details, but, I remember one of my earlier kind of board executive type meetings. And when I went to the meeting the first time, and I noticed all these different groups and departments challenging each other. And, in the corporate world, people are fighting for resources. They're fighting for talent. They're each looking to stand out. And I said, wow, this doesn't fit in with my value system. I need a more positive, optimistic. So I spent the next 2 months going to each one of the people who were in that room and trying to form alliances, asking, how can I help you in your business? What can our business do with your business and help you with that? By the time the next meeting came, people were praising and talking positive. And so we were able to change it that way. So you have to kind of take an approach of understanding the people you're working with. What's their interest? Approach them one-on-one and say, look, tell me, what is your goal? What do you want? Can I help you in your goal? That might be one way to help diffuse the politics and make it a more honest discussion and change the environment. If none of that's working and you're just dealing with some people who are never going to change, then it may be time to think about, well, what's the best move for me? How can I move on to find an environment that's right for me? But it's not easy. I'm going to tell you that.
Well, thank you for clarifying and walking us through that process and how you think, and also how you would coach somebody who would come to you. And I'm surfacing that because I know a lot of people that are watching and listening right now are in the middle of very political situations, whether they're downsizing, they're right sizing, they're reorging. There's a lot of power struggles and power dynamics going on. And I would have missed that opportunity to get inside Ralph's brain to see what he sees in terms of abundance and positivity and optimism. But what you just characterize is a tremendous amount of reality. You're also a realist. You can see things for what they are and help
Right.
people to also see things for what they are.
Look, it hasn't always been rosy. I've faced significant challenges with people challenging me and thinking, how did you get so far? I should have had that opportunity. And I always try to reach out in a positive way, and we'll do it time and time over. Okay, you slapped me once, I'll keep. But at some point, in my career, I've had to say to people, look, I can't do it anymore. I've tried to reach out. I've tried to help. What do you want? If we can't accomplish that, maybe it's time for one of us to figure out, a different path. And that's sometimes you have to do that. But, and it's not easy. But I will give people the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes people are influenced by their own corporate culture, the environment that was set, and they're trapped in it too.
So powerful what you just said. It's that acknowledgement. And I think the other thing that's really fascinating too about your life, your approach to things, is that while you do embody a lot of these natural attributes, you have a tremendous business acumen, you have a ton of experience, and you're able to use it in all the right places. You've been able to marry all of these skills in such a profound way without losing a sense of really who you are. And I think that's like a really important thing to underline in everything that I'm hearing here. And it leads me to my next question, Ralph.
Sure.
I would love for you to zoom out on your life in your leadership experience. And when you think about your brand, your legacy, what you want to leave behind, and what you want people to have said and expressed about you, what comes to mind?
I see a couple of things, and by the way, this is, it's a lifelong process I'm a student of the world. If I could have stayed in school forever, I would have. I like to learn from every person in an organization, from every person wherever I meet, whether it's a restaurant, a shop, and I can give you dozens of examples. I mean, I've walked into stores that there's nothing in there for me, but I saw something on TV about the store. I liked what they were doing and gone in and started asking questions and sharing ideas and gave them ideas on how they could sell more by modeling walk around. And it's just natural
I
part
can
of me.
totally see you doing that, by the way. I
Yeah,
can completely see you doing that.
We both have a great experience. And I'm going to come back to it in a moment. But for example, I love Shark Tank. I watch it all the time. I've actually got to meet some of the people by going to an Inc. conference once, and I saw Kendra Scott on TV, and she was there, and she was great. And there's a Kendra Scott shop in the mall near here, right next to the coffee shop that I go to. I'd never been in there, but after I watched the Shark Tank, and I was very impressed with the way she built that $1 billion business and what she did, I went into the store and I said, look, I just want to learn a little bit more. I watched her and she was fantastic, and how she started the business, and what could you tell me? And they gave me a whole education. Now, it wasn't busy at the time. They gave me a whole education. They were proud of what they were selling and the different section and brands. And that was just because I had one learning experience and I wanted to share it. And it was a positive interaction. And in essence, I learned as well. And I feel on many topics, I'm going to continue to learn because I want to keep learning for the rest of my life. So in terms of how I want to be remembered, one, I want to be as a person that was always honest and upfront. And people have said that a lot of times when they introduce me to folks. Ralph provided us with an opportunity to grow and develop. He learned from us and we learned from him. That mentor-mentee relationship. By the way, the mentor-mentee relationship is a dual-way street. I have people that I've mentored who later became my mentor, and vice versa. And I remember a very senior executive in one of the major business magazines talked about this whole mentorship program. And he said, I'm not interested in becoming a mentor for people who ask me to be a mentor, but people who connect with me and share with me some of their ideas. And it's a dual relationship where they're sharing with me and I'm sharing with them. I guess I have been a mentor to many people. I didn't realize it. And that's how the mentor-mentee relationship, it should be in dual way where each person gains from each. So I see every relationship that way in both directions. As a person, I'd like to be seen as we were successful, we achieved much, but we also had a fun time doing it. We enjoyed it. A person who helped instill positivity and optimistic spirit. And this led to greater outcomes for everyone. Personal growth. I see it as I want to be able to help enhance the fabric of society and the environment in which we operate. My personal goal in life is to enhance the fabric of society and leave a positive influence wherever I go. So whether it's a bagel shop or a friendship or a relationship, it doesn't matter. Every experience I have, I want it to leave a positive. I've had people tell me how a positive influence on a connection or a business engagement that I had long forgotten had significant influence. And by the way, when you influence someone positively in their day, they go out and influence other people in a positive way because now they're in a good mood. So you get that incredible ripple effect. And so I think that's a good way. And it also helps you to feel better when you're able to help or do something for someone else.
The ripple effect.
Yes.
That is so important. It's contagious. And it's very resonant. Like we can feel it when we're in the presence of someone that lifts us up. And then we want to go replicate that. If you
don't have that in your life, it's not in your life or surround, call up some old friends, reach out to old contacts. I frequently, 2 or 3 times a year will reach out to people, simple message. It might be around a holiday or an event or, and all of a sudden they want to reconnect and we have a discussion and it's an incredible discussion. It happened recently with a friend. I'd long lost touch. and it remotivates you. You remind each other of all the positive things, and it re-energizes you. You don't even know. I had read a story once, and I tried this, and this is a very creative thing. Many of your viewers and listeners can try this as well. Get a simple congratulation cards, a greeting card, or get a couple of them, and mail them out to a few friends and say, hey, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. This is great. Everyone always has something positive that happened in their life. You may not even know. They will call you and, how did you know about this? How did you know about this?
Or and what did you mean? What are you congratulating me for?
All of a sudden, no, they always recognize, because they have had something positive, and they're shocked that somebody remembered or you might even have known, but everyone has positive things. So
wow.
It creates this positive discussion, and it's a way to kind of create this energy. Now, I don't do this all the time, but I've done it, once or twice, and the people are shocked. And then I tell them what I did, because I'm upfront, and they laugh, but they appreciate that happened, and it made them feel better.
What a great story. Well, I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to get more into Ralph on a personal level.
Okay.
So a lot of things that we talk about here at the Warriors at Work community is this idea. What I'm trying to do is to create a movement of thinkers and doers that are here to elevate and activate, and to be in service to one another.
Right.
And with that, I have people that hold me accountable to what I'm purporting and what I'm trying to create. Who are those people in your life and in your community that are keeping you accountable to your evolution?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And, I believe in the philosophy that I'm a student of everyone, and I really look to learn from everyone I meet. And it could be at any and every level. I've even watched servers in a restaurant do a great job. They may not even have been taking care of me, but other people. And I say, wow, that's incredible. I'll call them over and say, I just want to tell you the way you handled that situation and what you did, that was incredibly positive. And then actually take those lessons and share them with other people, or think about, well, wow, what can I do to have the same positive energy? There's a place that I love to go to, and the person, whenever you say thank you, they say, no, thank you. It's so much, but it's such a positive. They always make me feel better about being there. So I learned a lesson just from that experience. So any experience you have, you can take away a lesson. And I think that's one thing we have to change. We could learn from everyone at every level of an organization, of life. The strongest influence that ground me and ensure that I'm on track, obviously, are family. I'm close with my family, friends that I've had for years, mentors and mentees that we'll talk from time to time, other business leaders, and again, many people I've met along the way. I recently moved into a new community and have begun making new friends, and it's exciting because they've motivated me, to start walking and enjoying nature, because we have some beautiful gardens and areas around here. So at every stage of your life, at every interaction, you can gain and learn. And remember, don't confine yourself to one group of people. There are many other groups. Go out and talk to people that are outside your comfort zone. You'll be surprised what you learn and what you gain.
All right. So here's my final question. What's the world that you would like to see all of us in?
The reality is we're all part of that bigger picture. We're all part of that team to make the world into the place that we want. And so, I see, I think it's how you want to live your life. But if you want to live a more unencumbered, a freedom of life, and a freedom from feeling part of the system, and an enjoyment of the life, is create that positive bubble. If the situation you're in is not positive, then be the positive difference, be the change in the world. Go out and make some positive interactions. The world would be a greater place if we all went out and made other people feel better, if we said thank you and showed appreciation. I always do that, wherever I am. It really creates a positive difference. So in essence, I say, create your world. Don't just be a warrior at work. Be a warrior at life. Be a happy warrior. Make the world positive and help steer it in the direction that makes you feel better about yourself as well.
So, Ralph, I have smiled so much through this conversation. I mean, my face aches. There's so much beautiful wisdom in your stories, in your heartfelt honesty and transparency on how you see the world. I'm certain that anybody that's watching and listening had an incredible experience being in your presence and have taken away something that they could do in their next interaction, in their next meeting, in their next relationship, or in the next thought that could shift their mindset into more of this abundancy and possibility thinking. And Ralph, I'm so deeply appreciative of everything that you've shared here today. And I now consider you one of my friends and my colleagues,
thank you.
I'm thrilled to have met you. So thank you again for your time.
Well, you're welcome, Jeannie, and I appreciate you as well, and I'm glad that we've now become friends. And actually, I've learned a lot listening to the podcast that you've run as well. And in fact, before even agreeing to do this, I listened to a number of them to see if our values and our theories and philosophies were aligned. And as I listened to many of them, I said, wow, they're really aligned. I'm in tune with what they're saying. And that helps too, because it reinforces the things that we know and the values, and that we're not alone in doing that. And so I have to thank you, and I have to thank all your viewers and listeners, and I've enjoyed it, and I hope we continue to interact more in the future.
Warriors of life. That is
Absolutely.
the takeaway. Warriors of life. So thank you
Absolutely.
again. Thanks to everybody for listening to another episode of Warriors at Work and letting us be a part of your warrior journey. You can ask questions and make suggestions for future topics at jc@jeanniecumber.com. Connect with me personally on LinkedIn and Instagram, and join us on the Warrior Conversations channel on YouTube and at the Warrior Magic Community page on Facebook. You can find links to all these places on my website, jeanniecumber.com. And most importantly, be sure to tell friends about us, subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Spreaker, and Spotify. It helps others find the show and puts more warrior magic out into the world.